Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we will focus on idioms. We will focus mainly on how we use them in speech and why they're important when speaking to a native speaker. We need to be careful with idioms, as if you are not using them properly or trying to use them for the sake of it, it could actually make your speaking sound worse. If you're not sure what the phrases mean, you could be using them in the wrong way or in an inappropriate way. So we're going to focus on how to use idioms in the correct way, especially during speaking. So, just a quick recap. What are idioms? Well, they are phrases, words, or expressions that do not have the same meaning as the actual words used in the phrase. In other words, their meaning cannot be taken literally. For example, we can say, I'm over the moon that I got an A. So, I'm over the moon that I got an A. You can't take the words over the moon literally. It does not mean jumping over the moon. What it does mean though is that I'm happy and elated that I have got an A. So you don't follow the main literal meaning, it has a sub-meaning behind it. So why on earth do we use them if they don't mean what they mean? Well, we use them to express an emotion or a way of doing things. The phrase is used when somebody wants to express that they are incredibly happy about something that has happened. There are also expressions that are grammatically used. So, for example, over the moon, that was a phrase to suggest that you were overly happy, overly excited about what has happened. There are other examples. So far, so good. This means that up until this point in time, things are going well. So far, so good. So, how can idioms help you with your speaking? Well, if we use some less common and idiomatic vocabulary, we are proving we have the background knowledge of the meaning. We have shown that we don't just understand words themselves, but the phrases that put them together. Native speakers love hearing non-native speakers use idioms. It shows confidence. It shows confidence and a confidence in their abilities, and that they can communicate with more complex methods. Remember, idioms are usually informal, so they are great to use with friends. If you can remember some different forms of idioms or different examples of idioms, you can use them in conversation. It can make the conversation more exciting and more entertaining, and you can express your emotions a lot further with your idioms. So, you might be thinking, should I be learning lots and lots of idioms? Well, they should be quite low down in your priorities when you're improving your conversational skills. And the reason behind this is using idioms at the right time and in the right context is quite difficult. However, practicing them within your speech can help build a vocabulary library in your head. You'll be able to pick and choose relevant idioms for the right occasion. Native speakers use them quite naturally and in exactly the right context because they have obviously been brought up with the language and they don't have to think about it. So luckily for me, I'm a native speaker, so I don't have to think about when I need to use the idioms. It comes naturally to me in speech. However, it's quite an unnatural thing, idioms, because of course they're phrases that have a non-literal meaning. So you, as a non-native speaker, you need to practice when the appropriate time is to use these. Exactly. You need to make sure it is the right idiom. The problem with idioms is that you now have to hope there is a conversation where you can fit it in. You might be waiting a time for that. That could be unlikely, and if you're nervous, it is not something you want to worry about at all. If you use them unnaturally, because you're trying to fit them in, it can sound strange and unnatural. For example, if I said, I'm over the moon that your dog has died, that is the complete incorrect way of using it. It would sound horrible and quite mean, as though you were joking. So, here we have a list of some common idioms, which we'll go through. So, we've had some big disagreements over the years, but it's all water under the bridge now. We get on fine. So, water under the bridge. This basically means things from the past that are not important anymore. We've got over them. You are what you eat. So it's better to have a healthy diet. So you are what you eat. This basically means if you eat bad food, you'll be unhealthy. If you eat good food, you'll be healthy. It's not literally if you eat, say, cheese, you'll become cheese. You can't judge a book by its cover. I need to get to know him before I decide what he's like. So you can't judge a book by its cover. This basically means the belief that outside appearances do not reveal what someone or something is really like a book. You can't judge it on what it's like on the outside. We're really working against the clock now. We must hurry. So against the clock. This means not having enough time to do something. So you're working against the clock. Why are we bothering? We're flogging a dead horse. Our online business is making no money, so we should move on or do something else. So, the main idiom in this is flogging a dead horse. And that basically means attempting to continue with something that is finished or over. There's no point carrying on. Just give up at that point. I bent over backwards to help him. I hope he appreciates it. So the idiom in this sentence is bent over backwards. And that basically means doing all you can to help someone. So you have the IELTS test tomorrow, question mark. Break a leg. So this is very common. Break a leg just means good luck. So break a leg, good luck. Okay, I'm playing the devil's advocate here. But if marijuana is legalized, isn't it more likely young people will smoke it? So the idiom here is playing the devil's advocate. So that's to put forward a side in an argument that may not be your own in order to show the counter-argument or ensure all sides are discussed. Hold your horses. We haven't won anything yet. So hold your horses. This means telling someone who is getting ahead of themselves to wait or be patient. To slow down. She is driving me up the wall. She won't stop talking. She is driving me up the wall. So driving me up the wall. It means being annoyed or irritated by somebody or something. So here we have loads of different examples of common idioms. I want you now to get a pen and paper and just practice using these. Try and look at the definitions. So we have some examples and the definitions. Try and write your own examples, one for each, so that you can get an idea of maybe a way in which you could incorporate it in your speech, or some idea of how it might pop up in speech. Okay? Great. So, just remember, practice using these idioms. Practice using these. Give some examples. Think about how they might come up in your conversations. And just practice using these. Okay, these are very, very basic idioms. And I think you could, with a bit of practice, be able to use them in lots of different conversations. And yeah, just have a go. Practice makes perfect, just remember that. Okay, thank you very much for this lesson. I look forward to speaking to you in the next lesson. Thank you.